everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Team Daddy Weekly Recap. I am your host, Shapiro the Hero, aka Daddy Dreidels. Week 5 has come and gone, and with it, the last of our unbeaten teams. We also saw the end of some winning streaks, as well as some losing streaks, but also the beginnings of new ones. As always, I'll take you around the league, looking at scores and standings, right after this word from our sponsor. This week's sponsor is Sam Goody. If you're looking for the best place to grab the newest album releases, look no further than Sam Goody. Of course, Sam Goody declared bankruptcy in 2006 following the rise of digital music, but it's always nice to remember what once was in the world. Sam Goody. Goody's got it. Or at least they used to. We'll start this week's recap off by ripping off the Band-Aid and giving Brett his due. Yes, friends, Brett won again, this time taking down Steve 208.2 to 162.4. Brett actually scored the most points in the league this week, which is why you hear the Macarena, and I'm sorry for that. Brett was led by CJ Stroud with 39.2 points, and in addition he got 30-point performances from Kyron Williams, Stephon Diggs, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. However, Brett will be without star running back Omarion Hampton for at least the next 4 weeks, as the Chargers have placed him on IR following an ankle injury. On the other sideline, Steve was led by Jalen Waddle with 34.5 points, but drops his first game of the season. That being said, Steve is still all alone in first place at 4-1, and will try to get back to his winning ways when he takes on Kyle in Week 5. Meanwhile, Brett is now 3-2 after 3 consecutive victories, and will try to make it 4 in a row when he faces off against Swans. Speaking of Swans, he and I squared off in a must-win game for both of us, with each of us missing a key piece of our roster. However, when the clock showed zeros, I was able to emerge victorious, coming away with a 191.35 to 128.95 win. My team was led by Baker Mayfield with 37.45 points, and I also got 26 points from Breece Hall. This was definitely the bounce-back game I was looking for, as I put up the second highest point total of the week. But enough about me. Swans was led by Christian McCaffrey with 30.9 points, but continues to struggle without CeeDee Lamb, as he loses back-to-back games since the star wideout's injury. Now at 2-3, Swans will try to stop the bleeding and get back on track in a Week 6 showdown versus Brett. Meanwhile, I am now also 2-3 after getting back in the win column this week, and will try to make it 2 in a row next week when I take on Zach. Speaking of Trooper Hoff, he lost a close one this week, falling to Josh 132.8 to 121.15. Justin Jefferson led the scoring in this matchup with 27.3 points for Josh, and Josh also got exactly 21.8 points each from Daniel Jones, Quinshon Judkins, and Theo Johnson. That's got to be the first time multiple position players all scored the exact same point total on the same team, right? Or maybe it's just my fascination with coincidences like that, but I digress. Zach's team was led by Sam Laporta with 21.7 points, but ultimately Zach drops his second game in a row. Now at 3-2, Zach and I will face off in a crucial Week 6 matchup. Meanwhile, Josh is now 2-3 after back-to-back wins, and he'll try to get himself back to 300 next week when he takes on Big John. Turning now to our aforementioned gentle giant, Big John found himself on the right side of a Monday night comeback as he came from behind to take down Kyle 175.2 to 153.55. Rico Dowdle led Big John's team with 45.9 points, earning him $10 along the way as the league's highest scoring player for Week 6. Big John also got 34.9 points from Patrick Mahomes and 26.5 from Puka Nacua. On the other sideline, Kyle was led by Emeka Ibuka with 38.8 points, but left a ton of points on his bench in Tua Tagovailoa and Rashid Shaheed. Regardless, Kyle is now 2-3 and teetering on the edge of the playoffs. He will try to turn it around in Week 6 when he takes on Steve. Meanwhile, Big John is now 3-2 after getting back in the win column this week. He will try for consecutive wins when he faces off against Josh in Week 6. Looking now at last year's champ, George, he got back in the win column this week as well after a 172.8 to 153.3 win over Jed. Jamar Chase led the scoring for George with 39 points, and George also got 33.2 points from Kendrick Bourne. This was a good win for George as he goes for the first repeat championship in Team Daddy history. As for Jed, he was led by Jackson Smith and Jigba with 34.7 points, but ultimately drops his second game in a row as he tries to avoid punishment in consecutive years. Now at 2-3, Jed will try to right the ship in a Week 6 showdown with Armenti, while 3-2 George will go for his second win in a row when he takes on PJ. Speaking of the commish, our final matchup of the week pitted PJ against Armenti, with PJ trying to stay out of the basement and Armenti trying to make a run for first. And after the final whistle blew, it was Armenti emerging victorious, coming away with a 169.05 to 153.4 win. Javonte Williams led the scoring in this one with 34.4 points, and Armenti also got 32.75 points from Justin Fields. On the other sideline, PJ was led by Rachaad White with 25.6 points, but cost himself victory by starting Herbert over Dak. To be fair, I recommended the exact same play to a friend of mine in another league, but it's always tough when you see a bench player outperform a starter and have it cost you the win. We've all been there. Now sitting at 1-4, PJ's record does not really reflect the quality of his team, as he actually has outscored 5 other teams on the season. He will try to once again get his second win of the season next week when he takes on George. Meanwhile, Armenti is now 3-2 after back-to-back wins and will try to make it 3 in a row when he faces off against Jed. Here are the Team Daddy standings as of Week 5. Steve is in first place at 4-1, followed by Armenti, Brett, Big John, Zach, and George at 3-2. Behind them, we have the Swansboro brothers in the last 2 playoff spots at 2-3, followed by Jed, myself, and Josh, also at 2-3 but sitting outside the playoffs based on points scored. Finally, we have PJ in last at 1-4, but still with a lot of football left to play. A big congratulations are in order for Kyle this week, as he and Nicole tied the knot in what looked like a beautiful ceremony. Congratulations, Kyle and Nicole. May you have many happy years together. As we enter the madness of bye weeks, combined with international games and injuries, remember to check your lineups and make sure you're ready for battle each week. Every point is important, and you never know when one roster move could be the difference. But as always, thank you for watching. This has been your Team Daddy Weekly Recap. I am your host, Shapiro the Hero, and I will see you next time. L'chaim, motherfuckers!